hospital, Brighton, Florida, 3 weeks after the Clavemont incident. Lynn Jordan awakens in a cold and inhuman white room. Hooked up to multiple devices and tubes, she winces in pain as she disconnects herself from each. The young woman collapses to the floor, her legs completely numb. Hitting the ground, whatever medicines being pumped into her decide to come back up, and she vomits. "Well, I guess I should have brought a mop," the doctor says as he and his assistant bodyguard, Candy Stripe, enter the room. "Where am I?" Lynn coughs. "Isn't it obvious?" the doctor asks with a smile. "You're in the hospital." Lynn tries to stand up, but is unable to make her legs work correctly. "Why am I here?" "Memory loss," the doctor muses. "Not unexpected after that sort of trauma. You were brought to me after a very nasty explosion. I've kept you in a medically induced coma while repairing the extensive deep tissue damage. Honestly, I'm quite proud of what I was able to accomplish. By all reason, you should be dead." Lynn faintly recalls sitting in her car before everything goes white. "How long have I been out?" 3 weeks, my dear. I don't think you fully realize the damage you suffered. When you came to me, your remains could have fit inside a plastic tote. I rebuilt you from the ground up, repairing and replacing damaged tissue as I went. Of course, some things had to be supplemented. I just didn't have that much to work with." "Supplemented? What do you mean?" Lynn is confused. "Your body was simply not strong enough to endure the physical trauma. I used the GX parasite and a cocktail of Sakari DNA to boost your ability to withstand the surgeries." "You infected me with the parasite? The same one that Khan unleashed on the city?" She becomes horrified, wondering how she can escape. The doctor nods. "And your body took to it remarkably. Unlike those hacks on Khan's payroll, I figured out the secret to the parasite. Using Sakari DNA, I ensured the genetic bonding would be a success. You see, the poor souls of Clavemont had no Sakari heritage to be able to survive the parasite's ravaging dominance. GX is not a symbiosis of host and parasite, but more of a hostile takeover. If the host is not suited to endure the bonding, they are drained of their humanity and eventually their life." "So, I'm like Rapture and the crew now," she whispers. "A freak." "We're all freaks, my dear," the doctor grins, his eyes seeming to change color for a brief instant. Lynn isn't sure that her own eyes aren't having trouble adjusting to the surroundings. Candy Stripe hands Lynn a change of clothing. "It isn't so bad once you get used to it. You never realize how fragile humans are until you transcend beyond that form. I would never want to go back to my old life." "You're like me? Enhanced with a parasite?" Lynn asks. Candy Stripe shakes her head. "Sakari blood and demon tissue grafting. I'm what's known as a Sakati." Lynn goes into the restroom to change. "Does my family know I'm here?" she asks as she puts on the clothing. "Your family in Clavemont, I'm afraid, were among those who went missing. Your parents in Atlanta know you survived, but were told little else." "Missing? What are you talking about?" Lynn whispers, her head hurting. "You must not remember that part yet. The entire populace of Clavemont went missing the night you were injured. No one has been able to locate them. Very Roanoke-esque." "Lisa," Lynn whispers. "They're all gone?" "I'm sorry," the doctor says, patting her back gently. "It truly was a tragedy." Lynn feels something inside of her stir at her emotions. The doctor notices this change. "What happened? Do you feel different?" "It feels like heartburn, but all over my body." "Interesting," the doctor whispers. "Incubation may be complete." Lynn takes a step backward, bumping into the windowsill. "Incubating? You mean the parasite inside of me? It's still alive? The doctor grins widely. Of course. The parasite is what is saving your life. Without it, all your organs would completely fail. Right now, you need it to survive. Brighton, Florida, November 30th, 1998. Lynn raises her binoculars, trying to get a visual of her target. Running across a rooftop, she spots a figure moving below like a blur. Activating the parasite in her blood to enhance her vision, Lynn is able to track the figure's movements. He's headed to your position, Switch. I see him, her partner replies, quickly blocking the target's path with a small hand-fired energy blast. Clad in his virtual biosuit, Brian Rood narrowly avoids the explosion by hopping backwards. Hand that over, Switch says, stepping into view. That tech does not belong to you. The GX-enhanced warrior is clad in protective body armor with a red visor, very similar to Virtual's own, yet the suit itself is black in color, as opposed to blue and yellow. Brian scans the rooftops quickly, looking for an escape to avoid confrontation. From experience, these guys tend not to hunt alone. My mother gave me this as a gift. Why don't you take that up with her? I have no qualms against killing you, Switch says. They can scrape what's left of you out of the suit so long as it's undamaged. Brian prepares to fight, tensing his body. The parasite in the teen's blood begins to agitate, but is immediately regulated by the biosuit. I don't know who you are, but if you're connected to Conco, I'm taking you down. Lynn drops down behind Brian, blocking his escape. Dressed in a tight-fitting catsuit, the young woman's face is covered with a full-length black mask. There's no point in resisting, she says, raising a rifle. Even you aren't fast enough to dodge as many rounds as I can get off. I'd rather test that than do whatever you're here for. Don't underestimate me, Lynn cautions. That will prove to be a fatal mistake. Before Lynn can pull the trigger, a flood of electrical energy courses through her body. Collapsing, Lynn's body is left with smoke and static discharges rising from it in sporadic waves. Storm appears above them, throwing a hand downwards and hitting Switch in the chest with a bolt of lightning. I thought you were done killing people, Brian says angrily. Storm kneels beside Lynn, checking her neck for a pulse. Stop crying, she's alive. What about him? Brian asks, pointing to Switch. The GX warrior's entire chest is scorched and on fire. Storm shrugs. Nobody's perfect. Tyrell and Coach E catch up with them a few minutes later. Looks like that info you got us was on point, Tyrell says. A former athletic trainer, he was selected like both Silva and Lynn for Project BR. Unlike the others, Tyrell joined the resistance against Conco after the events in Clavemont. The hospital is being used to create enhanced mercenaries even more powerful than the ones used by Khan, Storm says. How is that possible? Wasn't Khan the only one to have a sample of the GX parasite? Coach E asks. Storm slowly shakes his head. Khan outsourced a lot of his experimentation to a man working out of this city known only as the Doctor. With samples stored of Sakari blood, the Doctor is constantly upgrading the strength of the patients he takes on. There are at least 8 fighters inside the building stronger than these two, Brian whispers. Getting to the Doctor won't be easy. I wouldn't advise trying to infiltrate today. We should take these 2 back with us and try to interrogate them, Coach E suggests. The teacher's opinions are highly respected, and he has become the unofficial leader of their resistance, albeit reluctantly. Them? Tyrell asks, looking down at Switch. You mean her, right? Coach E puts out the flames on Switch with his jacket. He's wounded badly, but he's still alive. He may not last long, but he may know something crucial. Now we're interrogating hostages? Brian groans. What's next? Storm gets in the teen's face. Do you want to find the people of Clavemont or not? You need to accept that we're going to have to do some things you might find distasteful. An energy blast explodes between them, knocking both teens off their feet. Get back to the hotel and I'll catch up with you later, Brian shouts, standing back up to face the new threat. High energy source detected. The virtual biosuit's internal diagnostics alerts. Hostile parasitic organism incoming rapidly. Before Brian can react, he is tackled through an air conditioning unit. The machine folds inward, sparks jetting out. Brian Rude, the attacker says, approaching the teen confidently. Did you come all the way out here just to die? Who the hell are you? Brian coughs, climbing free of the AC unit with several grunts of pain. I'm the teen leader of the group hired to protect the hospital from threats like you. Call me Bulldog, the man boasts. Brian throws a quick punch, hoping to catch his foe by surprise. Bulldog sidesteps, grabbing the teen by the face and slamming him down into the ground. Brian's body sinks into the pavement several inches, and Bulldog immediately hurls him at an angle through a window. Brian crashes through the glass and into several shelves of excess stored hospital materials. Coughing up blood, Brian stands up only to be punched in the chest by Bulldog. The chest plate of the biosuit indents, and the teen slams into the far wall. We knew you'd come snooping around here eventually, Bulldog laughs, stepping over debris. He lifts Brian up by the throat, then uppercuts him in the gut. Do you think the information that traitor Storm gained was an accident? We fed him the information to lure you here. The lot of you are loose ends that need tidied up. And to get your hands on the biosuit, Brian coughs. You're causing too many problems. We can't just let you go around smashing all of Khan's holdings and facilities without consequences. The hospital relies heavily on the income generated by Khan's exclusive mercenary contracts. Where are the people of Clavemont? Bulldog laughs loudly. Worry about your own ass, kid. You aren't out of danger yet. Storm runs to the edge of the roof to try and get a better look at what is happening with Brian and his attacker, but he is knocked down by a concussive blast from behind. The teen slowly stands, ears ringing. He turns to see that Switch is back on his feet. It seems that playing possum worked well on you, Switch laughs. I merely manipulated my parasite into making the damage to my body appear worse than it actually was. A stupid kid like you has no right to wield this power. You have no idea what the GX parasite is capable of. I guess I'll have to make sure you're dead for real this time, Storm growls, lowering into a fighting stance. Sparkles of electricity dance from his fingertips. Switch grins. You really did a number on those novices in Clavemont. But you haven't been up against guys like me before. While Rapture and the crew were running around kidnapping people, I was training my ass off to push the limits of my parasitic abilities. He unleashes a barrage of energy blasts, forcing Storm to evade. Storm twists and turns, pushing his concentration and reflexes to their limits. Switch keeps up the offensive, filling the sky with explosions. Tiring of solely being on the defense, Storm quickly turns and combats Switch's energy blasts with pulses of his own electrical energy. The sky between the two fighters becomes filled with flames and thick black smoke as the air itself burns. You're real strong, kid, Switch compliments. I'm really going to enjoy that power. Storm drops down to catch his breath and try to replenish a portion of his stamina. What's that supposed to mean? Switch shrugs. Whatever you want it to, I guess. I can't give away all my secrets, now can I? He must have the ability to steal powers from others, Storm thinks. I bet that's how he's so abnormally strong in terms of offense and defense. I need to keep on my toes and stay alert. If he tries anything strange, I need to be ready to put the distance between us. Look at those wheels turning, Switch laughs. You must be quite the little strategist. Storm closes his eyes, visualizing the surrounding electrical currents in his mind. A massive concentration of electricity flows from a transformer damaged by earlier fighting. He traces the power flowing back through the cables into several buildings behind his opponent. Triggering his parasite to increase its metabolism, Storm sends his own energy through the ground to overflow the cables and cause a large explosion in the rear buildings. Switch is knocked to his face by the concussion blast. "Bastard!" Switch coughs, slowly lifting his face from the street. Blood runs down the GX warrior's face. "You can see electricity as well as manipulate it." "I'm not a one-trick pony," Storm says, his eyes turning reptilian as the GX parasite remains increased in his bloodstream. Stirring, Lynn stands up and tries to get her bearings. To each of her sides, she sees battles being waged. The young woman raises her gun, hoping to get a clear shot off on either Storm or Brian. Suddenly, an intense migraine nearly cripples her with pain. Lynn instinctively leaps backwards and aims the gun towards the source of the psychic attack. Peril scoffs. Just because they put a parasite in you doesn't mean that you're suddenly a warrior. You were nothing but a nerdy science girl before. "Don't pretend like you know me," Lynn growls. "You were just a snot-nosed kid before GX. The parasite changes everyone. You have no idea what I've become." Peril screams, throwing his hands out and attempting to shut down Lynn's brain functions with a surge of psychic energy. Lynn's body contorts until she is suddenly standing on her head, and Peril's attack passes harmlessly through her feet. "I can shift the position of any organ in my body, and even alter its composition. Your attack is never going to work on me because I'm never going to let you know where my brain is at any given moment," Lynn boasts. "I'll just have to rip you apart piece by piece to be sure," Peril growls. Lynn grimaces. "You really are one fucked up kid." Peril charges forward with a right hook, but Lynn enlarges her own fist to not only meet his attack, but hit him first. "My mass stays constant, but I can shift as much or as little of it to any part of my body as I desire." She gloats as Peril is knocked to his back with a busted lip. "Maybe you should have stayed with Conco and learned a thing or two before cutting off on your own." Peril growls in frustration, wiping the blood from his lips with the back of his hand. The boy says nothing, putting all of his concentration into offense. He darts around Lynn, trying to find an opening. In response, the young woman moves her eyes all around her head to keep track of his movements. Finally, Peril attacks with a pulse of energy that Lynn blocks by transforming her right hand into a shield of strengthened keratin. The blast is fairly weak, but it does leave some singe marks on her skin. She can move her organs around and make her body parts stretch, but she can't make them any stronger than the materials already in her body, Peril thinks. A strong enough blast should kill her as easily as anyone else. Lynn suddenly stretches her arm out, striking Peril across the face. The youth is caught off guard and bounces across the rooftop. "Sorry, but if you hadn't already guessed, I'm not much of a defensive fighter. I tend to lean more on the offensive side. Between us, a winner is going to be decided by who has the stronger offense, not defense." She's wrong, Peril thinks, crawling to his feet. If she has no reliance on defense, I have this victory all but assured. I can lessen the severity of an opponent's attacks by using my aura as a shield. She obviously hasn't figured out how to do that just yet. So long as I deal out more damage than her, I can take more of her attacks before going down. Lynn rushes, again stretching out an arm to shorten the distance. Peril leaps into the air in evasion, but Lynn raises her arm straight up to meet him, before pulling her entire body back to her. Peril throws both hands downward to fire a burst of energy, but Lynn contorts to the side and rises up to his level in an instant. Peril shifts to his left side and tries to realign his aim, but is struck by another elongated fist. "Damn it," Peril thinks as he is sent back. He halts his momentum and again wipes the blood from his lips. She's fast. She has the edge over me in speed. There's no shame in giving up, Lynn says before starting to laugh. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. It would be completely disgraceful. Shaking with fury, Peril rushes Lynn and uses every bit of his concentration to anticipate her movements and evade her attacks. Lynn retracts her arm and attempts to send both out at once in rapid succession. Peril continues to dodge, but finds it becomes more difficult with each second that passes. Suddenly, Brian speeds past them both, crashing into a brick chimney. Ouch, Brian moans, crawling out of the debris. That dog guy really packs a punch. Idiot, Peril growls. Go back to your own fight and leave us alone. Brian looks around. You seem to be having a tough time also. Do you want to trade? I'm game, Lynn shrugs. I'm getting kind of bored fighting you anyway. Peril screams in fury at the top of his lungs, releasing his energy out in every direction like a fiery star. You're dead, you bitch! Wow, when the kid really gets worked up, he's actually kind of scary, Lynn thinks. I better be cautious. Hey, Brian shouts. You aren't going to kill her. She's a victim just like us. Victim? Lynn whispers from behind. You're only a victim if you allow yourself to be one. She's super fast, Brian thinks, unable to react in time before an enlarged fist crashes down upon him. Peril screams, bringing his fingers up to his temples and unleashing his psychic halt attack. This parasitic ability is able to burst the nerves and blood vessels in a target's brain, killing them. Shit! Lynn quickly jumps out of the way of the invisible energy attack as it cuts through the air. I wouldn't be able to have moved my brain to protect from that one. He put all of his energy into that attack. If that had hit me anywhere, I'd be on the ground drooling. Watch it, Brian shouts angrily. You nearly hit me with that attack. Peril lowers his arms in disappointment. Damn it. That was most of my remaining power. If you had been hit, it would have been due to your own carelessness. Here you are, Bulldog says, hovering overhead. Trying to steal my prey? He asks Lynn with an accusatory glare. Lynn shrugs. He came on his own. What was I going to do? I can't just not fight him, can I? Stay out of my fights! Peril screams, throwing a hand up at Bulldog and releasing a pulse of energy. Bulldog easily swats the attack aside. You've already pushed yourself past your limits. I can tell you're exhausted. You don't know anything about me, Peril growls. I know you're that cocky little shit that Khan viewed as a prodigy, but you went into the deep water before you were ready and drowned. You betrayed those who created you before your training was complete, and I know that you refuse to admit you aren't as talented as you think you are. Shut your damn mouth, Peril growls, firing another burst of energy at Bulldog. Bulldog catches the energy in one hand, crushing it and causing it to disperse into tiny particles of light. Did I get under your skin? I must have said something that rings true. Brian quickly fires off a pair of blasts that catch Bulldog in the chest and explode. Bulldog is caught by surprise and an audible grunt of pain escapes his lips as he drops to the rooftop in a crouch. Lay off him, he's just a kid, Brian says. A hateful, highly aggressive prick of a kid, but a kid nonetheless. I don't need your help, Peril growls. Brian smiles beneath his helmet. I'll take that as your unique way of telling me thank you. Storm darts across the sky, trying to keep ahead of Switch's impressive speed. Switch lights up the sky with numerous explosions, attempting to catch his opponent mid-dodge. Tired of running, Storm quickly turns and releases several electrical sparkles from his fingertips. Hardening his skin into a rock-like hide, Switch barely notices the attack as it hits. Speed and defense? He should be strong in one category or the other. What is the nature of this guy's parasitic ability? Storm wonders. Switch stares up at his opponent, focusing his metabolic energy. A massive spear of flesh jets out from Switch's chest and nearly impales Storm. Barely dodging in time, Storm drops into a crouch. blood dripping from his right shoulder and down his arm. He can form organic weapons from his body, too? How does this guy have so many powerful abilities? It's like he's a greatest hits of GX powers. Ready to give up and come back home? Or do I have to kill you? Switch asks. Go to hell, Storm growls, still holding his injured shoulder. Switch grins. I was hoping you'd say that. Your electric powers are something I'd like to learn. Learn? He can learn other parasite users' abilities? How is that even possible? Brian throws a right hook, but Bulldog sidesteps and trips the teen up as he lunges. As Brian staggers, the enhanced warrior grabs the back of his head and shoves it through a wall. The virtual biosuit's helmet cracks, and the visor resembles a glass spiderweb. Bulldog pulls the teen free and tosses his body to the floor. The doctor will have a lot of fun playing with you. Bulldog checks on the status of his companions. Both of them are still engaged in heated battles. I have the package. Hurry up and finish with them. They're not our priority. Lynn nods and looks back over at Peril. The boy is bloodied and barely able to stand. You heard the man. I have to wrap this up. Don't act like you can write me off just like that, Peril coughs. Lynn chuckles. Don't fool yourself, kid. I could have killed you several times over already. Peril catches the movement of Storm's intense battle with Switch in the corner of his eye. Spinning around quickly, Peril throws his hands out and screams. Psychic halt! Switch turns his head towards the shouting just in time to be hit by the invisible wave of psychic energy. As Switch's body freezes and he plummets out of the sky, Storm quickly floods Lynn with the jolt of electrical energy. Storm lands beside Peril, and neither of them exchange any words about the conclusion of their battles. The third one defeated Virtual. Peril shakes his head in annoyance. He constantly acts like he's better than us, yet he goes and gets beat. Was he killed? I don't think so, Storm whispers. I think that he was taken alive. Brian's consciousness slips in and out as he's vaguely aware of being dragged down several flights of stairs and taken to an examination room. He's strapped to a table, and Brian has horrible flashbacks of the night in the Clavemont woods, when his entire life was altered forever. Claire sits beside Jake at a picnic table outside of the grocery store where they work. Neither teen has a lot of money, but their manager allows them each a free sandwich during their lunch breaks, out of the kindness of his heart. Going with roast beef again today? Claire asks. Jake nods. Why change the classics? Beggars can't be choosers, she shrugs. I haven't eaten 3 full meals in a single day for months, Jake laughs. I'm surprised I haven't turned into a skeleton by now. It's rough having to be an adult when you shouldn't have to be one yet. She takes a bite from her sandwich. You never told me where you came from. Is it that obvious that I'm not local? I never saw you around before you took this job. The town isn't that big, so I would have seen you sometime over the years. Are you that good with faces that you would remember if you had? Claire nods. I am. I work at the only grocery store in town, so I see every single person that lives in town at least once a month. I would remember you, she laughs. Plus, you don't really sound like a local. You speak like a Yankee. You're more formidable than I guessed. I'm from Indiana, Jake laughs. I didn't think that I had that much of an accent, but I guess it isn't exactly the deep south. Claire giggles. I knew you were from somewhere up north the second you said pop instead of a soda or Coke. Jake narrows his eyes. Mountain Dew can never be a Coke. Claire laughs, waving him off. Down south, anything can be a Coke. That's weird, Jake whispers. So, do you have fun down here, or is it just work all the time? Pretty much just the latter. It's just been me and my brother for years. Neither of us had even finished high school. I'm in the same boat, Jake says. I left school to come down here and start over. You ran away from home? Claire assumes that he wouldn't be working instead of school had he moved here with family. Sometimes not fast enough, Jake sighs. He decides it's best not to say too much. Knowing too much about his past would only scare her away. Someday you're going to tell me about that exciting past you've been running from. Exciting isn't really the word I'd use, Jake sighs. It's been pretty shitty, honestly. Family issues? She doesn't let the issue drop easily. Was it really that bad that you had to run away? It was. Was your situation any brighter? Not sure. Are both your parents dead? That's how bright my past is. Jake is silent for a moment. Actually, yes. They're both gone. Oh, Claire whispers. I'm sorry. Mine too. I was raised by my older brother. I guess I win, Jake shrugs. I don't have the caretaking sibling. I'm on my own now. He already has trouble remembering what the sounds of his parents' laughter was like. After a short time, he feels he betrays them by having forgotten so easily. Sometimes, I can't believe they're really gone, Jake whispers. Claire looks at him strangely. You mean your parents? What? Jake blinks several times in surprise. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. I'm not used to being around other people anymore. I tend to talk to myself a lot. Is that why you left home? Because your parents died? My father disappeared and the police couldn't find him anywhere. He went to work one night and never left. The police still have a missing persons case open, but they never got any new information. The cameras at my dad's work never saw him leave. My mom took it really hard. A few months ago, she died very suddenly. That's horrible, Claire says with a gasp. But maybe he is still alive. You said he was never found, right? I'm not holding my breath. The town I come from has a lot of dark shit going on. There are lots of people that have gone missing in my hometown. There's also tons of crime for a small town. Pretty sure the place is under some kind of curse. Both of my parents died in a car wreck. I understand that kind of pain and loss never really goes away. You cannot tell her the truth, Yumura says. She will not understand, no matter what she says otherwise. Shut up. I need someone other than you that I can share with. I'm going crazy not being able to talk to other human beings about what I've been through. What happened to your mother? Claire asks. Was it an illness? My mother, Jake grinds his teeth together as the first image of his mother that comes to mind is while she was possessed by Inyana. She was killed in that attack in Totikahachi. The terrorist attack? That's awful. I'm so sorry. Yeah, terrorists from another world, Jake thinks. I saw her die. He pauses, forcing himself past the emotions. She died protecting me. Do you have any other family that you can go to? What about your friends? Claire asks. Things got very complicated and I had to leave. I decided it was best for everyone that I not be around. Claire eyes him suspiciously. Are you that dangerous, Jake Stewart? You have no idea, Jake whispers. Enough of this nonsense, Yumura growls. Your juvenile human courtship habits are grating on my nerves. Courtship? Jake is surprised and embarrassed. I'm not. I have full awareness of your disgusting hormones, boy. You cannot fool me. You are attracted to this female. Well, I mean, she is cute and funny. Is that so wrong? Yumura shrugs. The Sakari choose their mates by pheromone alignment. Physical attraction is secondary to genetic compatibility. She is an unnecessary distraction to us right now. We should not be wasting our time courting females or working jobs. That bastard Cedrion is still out there trying to manipulate us. Removing that winged bastard should be our primary concern. Cedrion wasn't on a different level than us. He was in another universe. No amount of training could ever close that gap. Besides, without a job, we don't eat. If we don't eat, we die. Foolishness, Seymour growls, forcing his own consciousness into dormancy to block out Jake and Claire's continued conversations. Did you have a lot of friends back home? Claire asks. I did. They were all pretty awesome. I was lucky to have them. Claire smiles. Tell me about them. I've never had any friends. It's just been me and Craig as long as I can remember. Well, for starters, there's Chris. He's always really funny and is the first to have your back when you need help. Then there's K-Dog. He's a very talented basketball player. He'll probably play for a big college after graduation. My buddy Miller is as strong as an ox and pretty intimidating, but he's actually all heart. Most people judge him by his looks, thinking he's just a muscle brute, but he's actually very smart and very kind. He's always looking to help other people out. You guys sound like you were a close group. We were. The best times of my life were hanging out with them. There's also Red Hawk and Garcia. They always make us laugh. Red Hawk is goofy and lovable. He can always put a smile on your face no matter what mood you're in. Garcia is super charismatic and smart, but usually he's just high. Claire laughs. I wish I could have had friends like that. I feel like I missed out on a lot. You can always make new friends, Jake says. It's never too late to start. I wouldn't even know how. You're doing just fine, Jake says with a smile. What does your brother do for a living? I'm not sure where he works, but he leaves before I do and doesn't get home until I'm already in bed. I barely ever see him, honestly. Are you too close? Jake never had any true siblings, but he cannot imagine their bond any closer than the ones he shared long ago with his cousins Derek and Rusty. The question makes Claire a little sad. We used to be inseparable. Ever since he got this job, he's been like a complete stranger. I'm sorry, Jake says, noticing the change of tone. It's all right. One day I'm going to leave this place and all of my problems behind. If Craig doesn't want to be a part of that life, that's his choice. Big plans? Jake teases. Going to Hollywood to be a big star? Claire laughs. As if. You know all those girls end up in porn anyway. Many more girls chasing dreams than parts available. You said it, not me. Claire eyes him again. That's not what you were thinking, was it? Jake throws up his hand, still laughing. I plead the fifth. You, she says, poking him in the chest with her index finger, have not earned the right to think about me in porn. Turning bright red, Jake tries to defend himself. No, it wasn't like that, I promise. Claire bursts out laughing. This is nice. I haven't had anyone around to make me laugh like this in a long time. Thank you. Neither have I. Hard to laugh when everyone around you keeps being targeted by monsters and being killed, Jake thinks. I'm working on my GED. Then I'm going to apply to a vocational school. I should be able to get a grant for assistance. Due to my status, Claire says. I don't know what career to aim for yet, but I don't want to be a cashier for the rest of my life. You? I thought about becoming a pro wrestler, but I don't think I'm physically imposing enough to sell it. I'm serious, Claire laughs, nudging him. You have to want something more in life than this. Everyone has something greater meant for them in life. They just have to figure out what it is. Something greater for me? Jake wonders. What could that possibly be? Maybe I will go on to pursue that dream of becoming a pro wrestler, Jake says with a smile. Do you have any other dreams? Claire laughs. I'm thinking you were right about not having the body for that one. What? Jake smiles, looking at his biceps. I'm insulted. I think you misinterpreted what I'm saying. I'm pretty damn studly. Claire rolls her eyes. Whatever. I'm not here to feed your ego. Okay, if I'm not the next Randy Savage in the making, then what do you suggest? I'm all ears. I don't know, Claire says, put on the spot. I still don't know a whole lot about you to know your talents and whatnot. So let's change that. How about I walk you home after work and we get a pizza or something? Claire goes on the defensive. As much as she is enjoying Jake's company, the thought of them alone frightens her. There's something about him that gives her a sense of unease. I don't know, she admits. I'll have to think about that. Jake nods. I'll say no more. I'm not going to push the issue. She is scared of you, Yumura taunts. And for good reason. You're going to get her killed. Shut up. Stop saying things like that. Why? Nothing I've said is untrue. Just know that you are going to be this girl's death sentence. She will become an easy target for our enemies to get at you. You know what I'm saying is right. Why will you not just admit it to yourself? No, I won't let Claire get killed. I'm done failing to protect the people that I care about. I failed Mom and Dad. I won't fail again. You cannot lie to me. I share the same mind as you. Not even you believe what you're saying. You know deep down that the possibility of this girl getting hurt because of you is extremely high. You're wrong. I won't let that happen. I'll prove to you that you're wrong, Yumura. I can have a life outside of all the monsters and death. I can be happy. Happiness is only a weakness. You will learn the hard way that anything that makes you content can be stripped away. Having something to lose is much more painful than not having any attachments. All the top honors of the University of Maryland's Institute of Virology, numerous accolades and commendations from members of the GVN, fully funded research trips to the Manipal Institute in India and the Wuhan Institute in China, and I still find myself here. Dr. Victor Silva looks up cautiously from the filth and grime as he hides in the bed of an old farm truck. Around him, half a dozen Sakati assassins scour the area in pursuit of the wayward scientist. Enhanced with the blood of the Sakari, the hybridized warriors are much stronger and possess far greater senses than normal humans. Despite this, they have difficulty locating the scientist. Over here, one of the assassins shouts. The Sakati run over to a different farm truck, one Silva had to abandon after running out of gas from an earlier escape attempt. The engine's still warm. Because strength is my brain. The Sakati can't sense my energy very well. Silva thinks, but I'm trapped here. They know I'm close by. The second I move, they'll hear or see me. I have to figure out a way to put some distance between us. I can't distinguish between any of the life forces on this wretched farm, an assassin complains. Silva is a pathetic coward and weaker than any farm animal. Start eliminating all life here until you flush him out. The Sakati comply, blasting numerous cows, pigs, and fowl with concentrated energy pulses. As the choices are narrowed down, one of the assassins approaches the truck. Silva begins to tense, unsure of what he will do when he's discovered. There you are, the assassin grins, holding a hand out. An aged hound dog crawls out from beneath the truck, and the Sakati lowers his hand. Damn it, it's just some stupid mutt. There's no point in hiding, Silva, the Sakati leader shouts. You have no survival skills. We'll hunt you down, and we will kill you. Idiots, Silva thinks. They kill me. They'll never recover the stolen GX parasite samples. I'm not dumb enough to carry something that valuable on my person. Konka would murder each and every one of them for a screw-up like that. Start burning the fields and form a ring around the area for 2 miles. We won't leave anywhere for that little weasel to hide. The Sakati leader orders his team. A man wearing jean overalls and a flannel button-up shirt comes hurrying out of his home with a 12-gauge shotgun at the ready. What the hell are you weirdos doing on my farm? The man shouts. It's none of your concern, the Scotty leader replies dismissively. Go back to watching hee-haw and forget we were ever here. Who the hell you think you're talking to? The man asks, leveling his shotgun. You're on my goddamn property. The Scotty leader raises a hand and fires a concentrated beam of energy from his index finger that burns through the farmer's forehead, killing him. Thomas! A heavy-set and curly-haired woman with glasses runs towards them from within the house in a panic. Oh my God! Get rid of her, the Scotty leader shouts. Another assassin moves swiftly onto the porch of the home, striking the woman with a single sharp blow to the neck. Once downed, the assassin crushes the woman's throat with his boot. The other Sakati move around the perimeter of the farm, setting fires. Silva knows that soon he'll be left with no way to escape. Come on, big brain. Now is your time to shine. I've got to figure out something, or I'm dead. You think he's already dead? The Sakati asks. The team leader shakes his head. We would have at least heard a scream. No, the coward is still in hiding. The assassins hear jangling and look over to see the old dog walking towards them. It's just that dog, the team leader says, lowering his rifle. Ignore it. As the dog reaches them and sits down, the assassins begin to hear a slight hissing sound. The Sakati immediately begin coughing. Within minutes, vomiting begins. Silva stands over the team leader as he lies on the ground coughing up blood. I may not be a fighter, but I'm very resourceful and have a very specialized skill set. He looks over at the dog and the viral delivery system attached to its collar. Good boy, he says, patting the dog on the head. Taking the Sakati's vehicle, Silva travels down the road away from the fires and tries to plan his next move. He knows that more assassins will come for him. He isn't naive enough to believe that Conco will ever give up on trying to get back what was stolen from them. The parasite sample stolen by Silva is too valuable to let go without a fight. If I want to take the fight to these bastards, I need to find someone who not only hates them, but also has the power to kill them all. Lynn is awoken by water splashed on her face. Gasping for air, she is disoriented and tries not to panic. Despite all the training she has received in the past few months, the situation is frightening, and she has no idea what these people intend to do with her. You played us, Tyrell says with disgust. I really thought you were caught up in this shit against your will like me. I've never been like you, Lynn growls. She fights against her restraints. With the strength of the GX parasite slowly returning to her, the restraints will not hold for long. She's been reconditioned, Storm says. Khan's people did the same thing to my brother and me when we were first taken. I doubt she even remembers the person she was before. What do we do with them? Tyrell asks. If it isn't her fault she's this way, shouldn't we help her somehow? Only she can reset the conditioning, Storm says. We can't do anything to help her break through the brainwashing. It was my desire to look after my little brother that got me through it. I don't know what motivates her, if anything. Brian still isn't back, Coach E whispers. He should have met back up with us by now. Lynn begins to laugh, overhearing him. Your friend is being chopped up and dissected right now. The doctor is making him into something you'd never recognize. Is it possible? Tyrell asks. Do you think he was captured? I'll return to the hospital and check it out myself. In the meantime, you don't take your eyes off her, Storm says. Propose a trade, Lynn says. Maybe the doctor will trade what's left of your friend for us. Ignoring her, Storm leaves the room. You know, all I have to do is scream and a cleaning lady will come in here to find you all torturing this poor helpless young woman, Lynn says. Tyrell shoves a rag into her mouth, silencing Lynn. None of this is going smoothly. We know the doctor and the hospital are connected to Conco, Coach E says. If we can shut this operation down, we'll be one step closer to crippling the remainder of Conco and forcing their leadership into the open. Lynn manages to spit the rag out onto the floor. You idiots are so unprepared. Without Virtual or Storm, you're just an overweight science teacher and a gym rat with no powers. If you thought Khan kept strong fighters around to protect his interests, you're completely unprepared for what the Doctor has in store for you. If the two of you are any indicator, I'm not worried, Tyrell replies dismissively. You should be. Without the Virtual to protect you, you wouldn't survive against a simple Sakati mercenary force. Lynn can see that she's beginning to get under his skin. Have you ever been tempted to have that kind of power for yourself? It must have been so frustrating to be an athletic trainer, helping real athletes all day, but never being able to go out there onto the field like them and be heroes. You're still just a supporter. You aren't anyone that matters. You didn't talk this much before, Tyrell groans, trying to ignore her taunts. While you were all running around pretending to be heroes, real people died. What good did fighting Conco do? Everyone from Clavemont is gone and they won't be coming back. My cousin Lisa, my aunt and uncle, they're probably dead and I'll never see them again. Your resistance has changed nothing. Khan is dead, Kochi interrupts. That's one victory for us at least. Lynn laughs. Now you're claiming Yamura's victories? That monster was just as dangerous and out of control as any of Khan's creations. She smiles, receiving no rebuttal. I serve a much greater purpose than the ambitions of one man. The Doctor is going to change the entire world. What happened to you? Tyrell whispers. Don't pretend you knew me, Lynn growls. We knew each other for all of an hour. You spoke up against the atrocities Khan was committing. What changed? I saw firsthand how cruel and unforgiving this world really is. Without power, the world will crush you without mercy. Men like Khan run everything. Moral objections may seem like a grand idea, but in truth, they're just a death sentence for the weak. To survive, I had to become strong myself. There's strength in character as well, Kochi speaks up. You may one day regret throwing away all your ideals for Khan's tainted gifts. All of you are going to die, Lynn growls. Your friend in the biosuit will be the first. Electric Errand Boy will be the next, followed by that traitor Peril. The two of you, I'll kill myself. Errand? Tyrell whispers. You mean Storm? Lynn laughs. Did you think I didn't know it was him? We have all the intel Khan gathered on you at our disposal. Storm is the very same Richard Swanson that infiltrated Conco as my personal assistant and sabotaged Project VR. Because of him, Khan lost most of his senior personnel and eventually his own life at the hands of Yamura. Conco's grudge against your ragtag group of heroes begins with him. Those kids brought us together, and together, the five of us are going to take down Conco, and your boss, the Doctor, Tyrell says. Lynn smiles arrogantly. That isn't going to happen. But continue to fantasize. That's all the two of you normies are good at. You have no powers. All you can do is fantasize and play pretend, while the three with real power do all the heavy lifting. You're nothing more than glorified cheerleaders. Provins, France. The medieval town of Provins, just a day trip by train from Paris, is the perfect place for a sorcerer to blend in. When your town is known for its massive Renaissance fairs and period acting and dedicated lifestyle, no one asks questions about your strange behaviors and potion making. No one asks about the visitors to the town that sometimes go missing. No one questions the strange shadows and sounds seen and heard at night. It all just adds to the dated atmosphere of the town. People thrive on the full immersive experience. Hello, it's me, Aisha. A robed man in his late 30s enters the home of Gideon and Zelina Levi. I brought gifts. A young teenage girl of about 14 enters the living room, drying her hands with a towel. Is father with you? Aisha hesitates. No, but I'm sure he'll be around later. His expedition to America was not far from my own. Which of you went to Totikahachi? Aisheth is surprised by the question. I see you have been keeping up on our global news. Just because we dress old-fashioned and hold fairs for the tourists does not mean we do not own a television. Aisheth smiles. Fair enough. Your father went to that site. I went to visit the Trail of Tears. Zelina becomes visibly upset. Totikahachi is filled with hatred. My father is in danger. Aisheth shifts uncomfortably. I am sure he will be fine. Your father is the most capable mage I have ever met. Trying to keep his emotions hidden, Aisheth remembers finding the lifeless body of his mentor, Gideon, lying in the ruins of Totikahachi. It was the scroll that Gideon sent him that alerted Aisheth that something was wrong. Why would a necromancer write a contract for an undead creature, but sign it over to another mage instead, if that mage knew he was about to die? Are you hungry? Zelina asks. I made a pot of stew expecting both you and father to be coming back today. Why did you not just summon a corpse puppet to serve you? There's no need for a necromancer to ever have to toil or sweat over menial tasks. I'd rather not have a rotting corpse preparing food for us to eat. Aisheth shrugs. I have fresh ones that I could summon for you. They died without noticeable damage, and I was able to write the contracts before they even started to decay. You didn't kill anyone, did you? Of course not, Aisheth laughs. I only collect those who die of causes outside of my own influence. Zelina isn't sure that she believes him. She has noticed the visitors that go missing, even if no one else does. Did you speak to my father after he finished his visit with Totikahachi? Zelina asks. Aisheth does not immediately answer. It's obvious to the girl that he's struggling to think of a lie. She wonders if he is lying about her father and why he has not come back home with him. A terrible feeling of despair builds in the pit of her stomach. I did not. We were not on the same flight back. I suppose he found something very interesting at the site. Perhaps he pushed him to another site for answers. There are many deep spiritual locations in America. I could feel that the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead was dangerously thin in places. If my father discovered something that important, wouldn't he have shared it with you? Were you not both in America to find out more about the afterlife? I would have thought so, but since he did not, I do not know. Aisheth says with a shrug. We will have to ask him when he returns. Yes, Zelina whispers. When he returns. Jake begins to restock the shelves with canned goods after closing, while Claire sweeps the aisles near the registers. Do you really think it's wise to get to know this person at all? Yumura asks. Your life is very hazardous. We have made many enemies that would not hesitate to use your acquaintances against you. Imagine if one of Khan's mutants were to capture Claire and infect her with the GX parasite. Would you be able to fight her in a transformed state after her mind had rotted away to the parasite's influence? So what? Am I supposed to remain isolated forever? How can I be expected to live with no one other than you as a companion? I am not your companion, Yumura growls. Do not misunderstand our relationship. I shall do whatever I can to preserve your life, as it keeps me alive as well. Beyond that, my affection for you is non-existent. Mutual, Jake says with sadness. Thanks for reminding me. I was starting to forget how much I hate you. After all we've been through, I was starting to look past all the horrible things you've done. And I will not change. Did you think that your influence would somehow tame me? I have not given up my aspirations. One day, I will still gain complete control of this body and use it to kill all of Enkidu's bloodline. And it is conversations like this where I need to meet actual human beings, while your doom and gloom is really depressing. I can't just think about monsters and murder all the time. I need to be able to unwind and talk about stupid, meaningless shit with people I consider friends. You put those people at risk. Has your selflessness risen so much that you jeopardize the lives of the innocent? Was the safety of others not the sole motivation that left your old life behind in the first place? I left my family and friends to protect them from you. As you have seen, there are dangers far greater in this world than I. Like Hui, Jake says. No one will be safe until we put an end to him. Agreed. Hui is a blind loyalist to my sister. He will wish to avenge his queen. Already hating me, Hui will be extremely dangerous while he deludes himself into thinking he is on the side of justice. He'll share the same fate as Inyana, Jake promises. He won't succeed. If you wish to keep that vow, you must become more serious. We cannot afford to make any mistakes. To kill Hui will require both you and I at our very best. No distractions. Jake is torn. Leaving behind everyone in his old life, he never realized how lonely it would become. Meeting Claire, he sees how desperately he needs some kind of human interaction. He does feel selfish, putting Claire at risk just by being around her, but he finds it too difficult to stay away. He knows that they have formed a connection, and he longs to see where that connection may lead. You never answered me before, Jake says. Answered you about what? Claire asks, stopping for a moment. About walking you home. Claire smiles and returns to sweeping. You're charming, but not charming enough to know where I live just yet. Jake laughs. Guess I gotta keep working at it. She also laughs. Yeah, I guess so. Finishing up his shift, Jake says goodbye to Claire and his other co-workers before leaving the grocery store and returning home. The walk back to his apartment is roughly 15 minutes, and he uses the time to process any thoughts he would consider normal for a person his age, before pushing them aside and dealing with the greater concerns that loom overhead. We haven't heard anything from Hui's acolytes since we came back to this town, Jake says. I'm starting to think he moved his operations to another city after we spoiled his fundraiser. That is unlikely. It takes considerable energy to anchor one's influence in an area. The magic used to trap our spirits in those amulets left us so weakened that it took centuries for me to even understand the sounds of the outside world. If Hui has gained enough strength to organize an entire religion around himself, he will not seek to uproot himself from that source of power. Well, we can't seem to find any evidence of him still being in town. Without anything to go on, how are we supposed to track him down? Hui will not hide forever. If he has been gaining power from humans worshipping him, he will not be able to abstain from drawing more attention. Bodies will eventually surface, and he will make a mistake. When he does, I will be there to crush him and send his spirit straight to hell to provide my sister eternal company. Reaching the apartment, Jake is put on alert after finding the door ajar. Multiple scenarios flash through the teen's mind, each more terrible than the last. Whoever is inside his apartment is a mystery. It could be anyone from a common thief to one of Hui's followers, to even Cedrion himself. They do not sense a strong presence from within the building, Imra says. They are either no threat to us, or are able to suppress their energy considerably. If they are able to conceal their energy, that could mean they could be a very skilled fighter. We need to be on high alert. This could be bad. If Hui knows where you live, he will not stop at sending waves of assassins after you. He is nothing if not relentless. He has spent 10,000 years of imprisonment because of me. He will want revenge badly. I can't blame him. That was a dick move for sure. I thought things would play out differently. I did not expect to be defeated by Enkidu myself. I had planned on using that man to rid me of Hui and Inyana, and then I would step in to kill him in his weakened state. Then, there would be no one left to stop me from taking over the world. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? Jake steps to the doorway, looking around the room for any potential threats. "Sorry about the door," Victor Silva says, standing across the room. "I didn't have a key to let myself in."